Hello and welcome to another episode of 1000 Actually Fun Books, where we are reviewing books of every genre, looking for the best of fun escapist books. And today we're going to review the book Terran Privateer by Glynn Stewart. This is a science fiction, the first of a series of 9 books currently. The series is called The Duchy of Terra. The plot is that right at the beginning, Earth has just discovered this fantastic warp drive sort of thing that allows them to go 0.2% of the speed of light, and so they can now reach other solar systems. And basically, the day they've introduced this, an alien species comes and says, "You are now part of our Imperium, submit or die," kind of thing. And Earth, even though they think they're going to lose, they try and resist, and the aliens wipe out all of the space armada that Earth has, except for a single ship. And so that single ship, at the kind of the last minute, is commissioned. Okay, go forth, leave our solar system, leave Earth, go be a privateer, a legally sanctioned pirate, and go out and try and discover, try and do a bunch of raids, harass our enemies, try and get technology that will free Earth. So the rest of the story is based on that little privateer ship. It is out in space trying to discover the state of the universe and how it can release Earth from its colonizers. Okay, so that's kind of the plot in a nutshell, and things I liked. So I did like that idea of the plot. Space pirates! I mean, that's a fun idea. That's a fun plot idea. And you have our main character ship, the people on there. Mostly it's from the point of view of the captain of the ship. And she is out trying to find things that will make life easier for her. Because they have gone and they're like, okay, we only have like 6 months worth of food and water, and we only have so many munition, missiles, whatever, and we're way outgunned by the enemy. And we don't even know the difference between an enemy ship and a civilian ship. And we don't know, if we guess wrong here at the beginning, we're going to be destroyed, and then Earth is out of luck. And we don't want that. So at the beginning there, with the space pirates trying to, from a position of weakness, trying to get incrementally strong enough to actually pose a threat to the enemy military, and then try and come up with some way to be safe and independent and come up with things that Earth could use. So it's a very interesting premise. I really like that idea. The main character, I like her, the captain, and the supplementary characters as well are interesting. So our main character, human female, she is honorable and duty-bound, and probably honorable would probably be her main trait that she is depicted as in this book. So that makes for a fun book to be around her a lot, and all the decision-making she has to make. We came across something, and do we kill all the inhabitants of this ship, or do we just, let them go in escape pods? I mean, if we do, then what will happen? Because if we let them in escape pods, people will be aware of us. Maybe they'll be able to find us. Things like that, where they have some suggestions on how exactly are you going to deal with these situations, and she does it honorably. So I like her. There is the world building is also interesting. So we've got multiple alien species, a lot. Even in the empire that Earth is part of, you've got kind of a ruling class of aliens. That's basically who started their empire. But there's dozen of different aliens intermingled throughout. Like even in the main aliens navy, there's probably 40% or something of other alien species. And as they go around and encounter spaceports and other pirate ships and civilians and all sorts of different things, they come across these different alien species. And what I liked about this world building is it felt like a really full galaxy. Like in our spiral arm galaxy, there's a whole bunch of like little empires on the outer spirals where Earth is. And they have very different levels of technology or cultures, and it felt busy and full. It felt kind of like, the number of insect species on planet Earth, that's kind of what the galaxy is, filled with a bazillion different species all doing their own thing and kind of fighting each other for territory and resources and stuff, but kind of also keeping to their own spheres. So I like that world building. In keeping with the world building, the situation for Earth is kind of difficult. It's right on a frontier edge. That's why it just recently got conquered by this one alien species. It's right on the edge of their territory, and abutting up against it is a different alien territory. And Earth has to look at that and kind of go, okay, if I have to deal with one of the species of aliens, which one would be better and why? And that is also part of the situation with that, because you can't be an isolationist. You can't be completely, not dealing with aliens. So who do you deal with and why? And so it's an interesting world building. I did like that. I like that there's no romance in this book. So our main character, because she is captain of the ship, kind of is like, bummer, I can't have a romance with anybody, but no big deal. And other characters, there's some pairing up, including some homosexual pairing up, but there's no romance going on. You're just like, oh, those two people are together, and oh, those people are together, but there isn't, you don't actually get involved in any romance. So I liked that. Let's see. So there are talks about slavery, and one of the humans in our group had a traumatic experience as being a slave, and there's a whole bunch of humans that end up being released from slavery, and the book does not go into any detail with that. There's no trauma apparent as far as the narrative goes. I mean, you have a little bit of, oh, that person is traumatized, but you never actually see that person or see that person's trauma. So bad things happen in this book, but it's not, you never get into the weeds of being in a position where you as the reader are feeling that trauma. Instead, it's always very superficially dealt with. There was trauma that happened over there, and we will move on. That kind of thing. So I liked that. That includes for injuries as well. Some of our characters get injured, but it's kind of like, no big deal, we will fight on, and eventually it will be fixed, kind of thing. Again, no real trauma is felt like. So you read the story and it feels a little superficial that way, which can be not so great because sometimes people really want that emotional depth, and this does not have emotional depth. But it can be fun if you're a fan of the action and the plot and you don't want to deal with the emotional depth. So that can be good. It's again a lack of gore. There's lots of space battles, but most of it is, and the ship disintegrated. Or, and there was fighting and we wiped out all the enemy over there. There's really no blood and guts at all. Again, with characters that they get injured, it seems more like, oh, there's an injury, and they wake up with a bandage, and, we move on. There's no gore. I do like that there's some gray area in dealing with conquering or being conquered, and so our space aliens, the ones that originally conquer Earth, it ends up being very gray. Yes, they conquered Earth, but are they bad guys? And I like how the author dealt with that situation. Like, how can an alien species conquer Earth nicely? And that's basically what the author was trying to do, is have the aliens, that they definitely conquered Earth. They wiped out a bunch of human armada, but once they had control, what did they do? How do they put down rebellion? How do they deal with government structure? How do they deal with all the people that are going to be unemployed because they used to be part of the military and now that's been disbanded? How do they deal with a bunch of different things? The author does a fantastic job of balancing out that we are conquering aliens and we have rules and you will obey them, versus we are not evil, we're not out to make you miserable or slaves or anything like that. And how do you deal with that? So the author did a great job with all of those kind of things. Okay, things I didn't like. There's not a whole lot. One of which will be, there's a touch of Mary Sue things going on. So our main character, our privateer ship, and the captain has to make a bunch of choices, and they're always the right choice. They always win every battle, even against, David and Goliath odds. It is kind of unrealistic in that respect. I would have thought it would have been better if they occasionally got into a fight that they're like, whoops, and have to run with their tail between their legs. Or if they occasionally, won a battle, but it was a pyrrhic victory, or they lost a bunch of people, or supplies, or damaged their ship, or maybe the thing that they got, that they won, was not useful. Oh, look, we have a bunch of useless junk that nobody cares about, nobody's gonna buy. It never happened that way. Instead, it was always, and we won the battle with like 0 losses, and we got a great treasure. There's a little bit of lack of realism there that was a little too extreme, a little Mary Sue-ish in that respect. So, there's a warning for an attempted rape. One of the humans is captured by slavers, and there's an off-screen assault that does not succeed, but she is hurt, and you kind of get the impression that this could happen more frequently. Although, again, you have that a whole bunch of humans become enslaved, and they're enslaved for like years. You have a group that you find that have been enslaved for like 5 years, and you kind of get the impression that they've been just sitting in a cage for the full 5 years. You don't get any depth of, so what exactly has happened to you during this whole time? And why is it that they just kind of ignored you this whole time? Because you don't come out traumatized. You come out like, we are ready to fight, or be returned home. And so that's, again, there's a little bit of lack of realism there. But on the other hand, you don't get the trauma. So my last issue with this book is lots of aliens die, and there seems to be no alien difficulty with that situation. So what I mean by that, for example, at one point in this, our main character raids an alien base on a planet or a moon or wherever they're at. So they raid it, and they basically wipe out 3,000 aliens, but they rescue a bunch of humans because they were there and they've been there for a while. And when the alien leadership eventually approaches our main character human, this is a bit of a spoiler, but they basically say, congratulations, you're such an honorable captain. I am so impressed with you. We will promote you kind of attitude. There is zero care that our main character just killed a bunch of them. Never do the aliens seem to care if you kill thousands of them. I mean, it just feels like if you killed, you wiped out an entire planet of these people, but you did it and rescued 2 humans, well, then congratulations on your exploits. And I didn't like that at all. The aliens should have reacted differently. Realistically, they should have reacted like, well, you managed to kill a whole bunch of innocents of ours. I mean, I realized that you were doing it for a good cause, according to your species, but that's not the way that they reacted. So I didn't necessarily love that. I felt it was a little shallow, cheesy, superficial. So of this book overall, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The cheesiness, the Mary Sue-ishness, lack of realism there kind of bumps it down. But for just a fun escapist read, I thought it was pretty good. I would enjoy it. I would be willing to read more of the series. So I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up recommendation. And like I said, I enjoyed it. And yeah, if you enjoy that kind of thing, check it out. My next book is going to be a fantasy called Dance of Cloaks by David Dalglish. I think it has to do with somebody who was raised to be an assassin and either is trying to protect somebody that, which is unusual for an assassin because they're usually just going to hurt people, or decides that being an assassin isn't a good thing, something along those lines in a fantasy realm. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't... The back it says assassin or protector, so that seems to be the controversy here. I don't think it's a romance, though. It may have romance in it. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. So that's what I'm going to try next. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next review.